JDs and Lemon boys and girls, we are back today with another Pokemon Fire Red Leaf Green Speed Run Letter Challenge video. I'm going to be your host, Zeej, and we're going to kick it off with our naming convention today. It is going to be animals. So I'm going to be the dingo, and we'll see where it goes. I know some of you thinking right now, you're probably sitting there thinking, oh, Zeej, Dragonite has 600 base stats. He's a pseudo-legendary. He's gonna be great. Well, this is gonna be a swift kick in the cock for some of y'all. But honestly, Dratini in the early game is gonna show to be so bad and so slow that there's a chance that this run could go significantly worse than you guys think. Look, despite all this Dratini slander I'm slinging, I still named him Dog because the x-ray came back from Professor Oak and he got that dog in him. Woo! Now that we've been through a couple of these videos, we kind of know the basic structure of what are we going to get first. So, the initial thought when I'm going through this, what am I going to get first? What am I going to put in a Pokeball? What are we talking about here? The ones that are most similar to the starters is going to be the Dratini line. It's a 3-stage evolution, and it becomes a pseudo-legendary in terms of base stats, but it takes quite a long time to get there. And Dratini just sucks, to be entirely honest. I mean, if you can't see the moves because it's going a little quick, all you get is Wrap and Leer. Wrap has a chance to miss, has what, 20 PP, and is weaker than Scratch, Pound, Tackle, like all of them. So we do less damage, we have lower base stats than our initial starters, our typing is more unique. Like we're gonna struggle. Well, we're gonna struggle, and we're in the slow level up group. So if we beat 3 level 3 Rattatas with a Bulbasaur, we'll be level 6.5. If we beat 3 level 3 Rattatas with Dratini, we might not even be level 6. So, there's a lot of things that have potential to hold us back. But, that being said, let's jump into the rules. So, said this before and I'll say it again. The Pokemon Speedrun Letter Challenge, the first rule is you need to have the Pokemon of the correct letter. Only that letter. So in this case, Dratini starts with D. So you'll be checking out a lot of D's today. Number 2 is that rare candies can be introduced into the game to evolve Pokemon, such as in this case, Seal, starts with S, very clearly. But Dugong, the evolved form, starts with D. So we can use rare candies to get up to the level that they evolve, as long as that's within the next gym leader's ace Pokemon. To our benefit, that stipulation doesn't really have to play a factor in this because we don't get Seal or Dugong until we would already be able to evolve him legally with the rare candies, so that shouldn't cause a stir. Rule number 3, no selling of items for gold other than items that are only meant to be sold for gold and have no other function. For example, nuggets. The next rule is going to be that we need to catch at least 1 Pokemon of each evolution line. Now that's going to play a big factor in this one specifically, because I'm going to need to catch Diglett, which evolves into a Dugtrio. Same thing, I'm going to need to catch a Doduo, which evolves into a Dodrio. Now, I don't plan on using Dugtrio. I don't plan on really using Diglett. I don't plan on using Doduo or even Dodrio. Pretty good for the normal flying type. And then a Tri-Attack. Love me some Tri-Attack. But at that point, we're likely going to have Dragonite, or we want to get to Dragonite anyway. So they'll be on our team, but we won't be incorporating them. So I don't think evolving Doduo into Dodrio and Diglett into Dugtrio would provide us any value. So that's why there's that stipulation of evolution line. Our last rule to round this out is going to be that we have to play on set mode, and we're not allowed to use any items in battle. I know that I haven't really said it. I said it in the last video, but I forgot to mention that I've been doing this the whole time. I just didn't put it on the screen for whatever reason. I must have forgot. So letting everybody know now that that's the case, and that's the rule set that I've always been following. As you can see early game, like I referenced, we only get Wrap and Leer at level 1. And then level 8 we get Thunder Wave, which doesn't help at all for Brock, who is a ground rock type. Being the rock type trainer, has all ground types because rock and ground go hand in hand in this gen. So really have to just level up until Wrap kills something, or Twister, we get Twister at 15. We try and take on the trainer right before Brock, and that ended up being an utter failure, so we're definitely going to have to level up. Let's talk about some of the other encounters that we're going to have. So along the D line, we get Diglett, Dugtrio, Doduo, Dodrio, Dugong, Ditto, and Drowsy. All of which could be helpful, could not be helpful. I mean, Diglett, very specific case. The problem with Diglett is that they're extremely fast, just so frail. Decent attack, not really viable in Elite 4 type play. Needs to survive a hit, and it can't really do that at that level. Doduo, Dodrio, Tri-Attack, gotta love it. Another flying type, taken down by ice types, has decent stat spread, good attack. Is it really gonna help us that much along the line, especially if we're doing a speed run? What do you want to focus on? Don't think it's gonna be the Dodrio line. Drowsy, gonna have to say as Drowsy, not really gonna help that much. Ditto, speaks for itself, kind of a waste of time. Don't worry, love the pink blob, gotta love him. Little Oobleck like. Little bro's like a non-Newtonian fluid. Give him a little bit of force, starts to harden up in the heat of battle. Give him less force, a little fluid like. I don't even know why I'm saying this. It's a no from me, dog. What will help us is Dugong. Dugong water ice type, everybody knows. Lorelei's got one. Dugong is going to be an invaluable partner in this because despite Dragonite having fantastic stats, he sometimes struggles to survive long enough against the ice types because the water ice types are very bulky and typically have 4 times effective moves, namely ice, against the dragon flying type Pokemon that Dragonite is. Something else that Dragonite does have is a deep TM set. All these TMs look great, gotta love them, and there's a few that kind of stand out to me. Namely, the ones that are electric type. As I've spoken to earlier, and as you'll see, Dragonite struggles with ice types. Ice types are generally water types in this generation. So, those electric type moves, being Thunder, Thunderbolt, and Shockwave, are all going to be helpful along our way. Something that these electric type moves might also help us with is power points. These 3 electric type moves, being Thunder, Thunderbolt, and Shockwave, have 10, 15, and 20 power points respectively. So that also kind of plays a balance as to which one we're going to use. Shockwave, you get a Gym 3, Surge. Thunderbolt, you're going to get from the Game Corner, which is a lot of money. So if we plan on running through the Elite Four a good number of times, it might not be the best move to do that. It might be better to just level up instead. Thunder has a chance to miss relatively high, and we're not running really a rain team, so it wouldn't make sense because Thunder's only 100% accurate in the rain. But now we got Twister, and we are back in the captaincy. We are slaughtering the entire gym. As you can see previously, Brock went down no problem whatsoever because Stab Twister, and it hopefully is going to roll out and continue that train throughout the entirety of Mount Moon, at least till we get the Misty. Didn't need to do anything in Mount Moon, nothing special happened. The one thing that we did do was we picked up Dragon Rage. Dragon Rage is huge because at this level, 40 HP is close to the whole health bar. Damn near everything you got. So we were able to run in, quickly dispose of Misty and her Starmie. Typically a huge challenge for this. Move it right on forward down Nugget Bridge. As you can see, Dragon Rage just tearing through these fools. They ain't got no chance. Poor Oddish.
poor Bellsprout. Oh my god, it's an absolute massacre. But another thing, Dragon Rage only has 10 PP, so eventually gonna have to switch it up, work into Twisters, as you're seeing there. The Dragon Rage helps with the PP. Twisters got 20 PP, so we don't have to go back and heal all that often, especially now that we're over level for the section for sure, because 24 is level cap of Surge. Nonetheless, you can see fighting all the trainers that we can possibly fight along the way. It just, you need every XP point you can, especially when we're trying to level up as quickly as possible. Something we need to do right now, go to Diglett Cave. In this case, trying to find Dugtrio if possible, so we can quickly just
Magnitude
through Surge, or at least the Grunts and Surge, because Magnemites are not really my friend.
We got a pool noodle, and this is not a Drewski on Rakai moment. This is nothing like that.
After a while, I realized Dugtrio's not coming. It might as well just start throwing balls.
As we start chucking balls, we're thinking about what we're gonna name it. And honestly, Donkey, pretty perfect, because Diglett, all intents and purposes, is ass. We go one route over to try and catch this Drowsy, so we paralyze him first, and he won't get in our balls, and he sleeps us, and he's being a douche. Since we can't name him douche, we're gonna name him Duck, because he was ducking all these balls I was chucking. I was about to teabag his snout.
And we skip ahead to the SSA and just jump right in. As you can see, we're rounding level 30, so we're gonna evolve into the Dragonair here. Finally, we get a pool noodle with maybe a little spike in it, maybe a little pizzazz with those ears, little ball, little necklace hanging down. Fighting our rival for the third time.
And we make light work of him.
And obtain the HM for cut. Get into Lieutenant Surge, do the ever so wonderful electric lock puzzle. Nope, not a chance. First lock open, hey, reset again. Second try, no good, moving on. Third try, not a chance. Gotta love my luck. RN Jesus. Now that we have this time, let me tell you a little something about Dragonair. As a middle evolution, it has 420 base stats, which is the highest of any middle evolution Pokemon in the gen.
Does anybody really even celebrate 420 anymore? I haven't heard it in years.
And despite its disappointing move pool for getting Slam, for getting, I guess, Safeguard in this sense, it's not really good for speedruns, it just seems to lack consistency. And every time you think you're doing enough damage, it just doesn't do enough. Finally, unlock the gates. Surge, we're no longer killing things one shot with Dragon Rage. Definitely getting 2 shots here, but not 1 shot. All right. After a ton more playthrough, we went through the casino, we did all this stuff. In the gym, as far as the gym trainers go, we end up fighting Erica. Erica, not a problem, especially when we're at level 42. Erica's ace is at 29 at this point. Again, just not a problem. We want to go fight this double battle. Double battle, surprisingly difficult. Evolved Rapidash, evolved Ninetales, like pretty tough if you're trying to get an entire team of 6. But both Ninetales and Rapidash end up being relatively non-factored on my way to getting Fly. Although the double battle is not a problem. Going back, fight another rival, Rival 4. Gotta make it to the top of Pokemon Tower. Water Pulse is gonna help take out the Pidgeotto and Growlithe. End up in this rival fight, getting put to sleep, switching out to the Diglett, so I could shake the Leech Seed. Really ends up not mattering because I have to switch Dragonair back in. We end up clapping the Execute. Kadabra goes down to nearly 1 Water Pulse, and then 2 Dragon Rage just cleans up the Wartortle. Into the Safari Zone, because it's gonna be a necessity. Gonna want to pick up everything you see there. Never know when you're gonna need it. As you can see, catching my Doduo right here. Gonna name the Doduo Deer, and then we move on to Koga from there. Now that we have the Gold Teeth and Surf HM. Trying to get the solo dub with Dog. At this point, I taught him Shockwave. Shockwave, again, it's impossible to miss, and it gets us some extra coverage as well as power points. The first try against Koga, no good. pretty surprised about this. I guess the muck is typically going to be an issue. Muck is a physically and especially defensive wall, but in this case, we're just going to go right through it. Once we lose this battle, we're just going to heal up and come back and try it again. I'm trying to use Surf now that we have it instead of our Water Pulse. I was using majority Surf as it was doing about a third to Muck, and it did about half the Wheezing. So went for a Shockwave in there. Didn't really pan out as I used the Hyper Potion to heal. Thankfully, Sheddskin actually procced this time when we got poisoned, but ultimately just looks like Surf spam to get the dub here.
Once we beat Koga, now we can catch Seal.
So here's one of the stipulations. Here's one of the rules. Catch a Seal, gotta evolve it to Dugong. That's by levels. Dugong is gonna be Dolphin. I think that's pretty fitting. So evolving it to Dugong, and we taught it Sheer Cold. I may or may not have found some bonus rare candies laying around to get him to become a Dugong. Who knows? Who knows? Then moving on to Pokemon Mansion. Pokemon Mansion, bottom floor, you can catch a Ditto. So that's where we caught our Ditto. And by catching this Ditto, we have completed our entire team of D-line Pokemon. Named him Dragonfly. Not going to be of any use during this run. So now we have our final team. But the more important thing that happened, we turned our Dragonair into a Dragonite and learned Wing Attack in the process. So now it's going to be trying to level up Dugong so that it becomes a viable option in the Elite Four. As you can see right there, I ended up trying to use Dugong throughout the entirety of Blaine's gym, but it ended up not being possible because Rapidash ended up killing it with a combination of Fire Blast and Bounce. Dragonite ended up coming in, securing the victory. For the fifth rival, it was pretty straightforward. Dugong went for the whole time. He used Aurora Beam to dispatch both Execute and Pidgeot. It took a second to figure out what we wanted to do for the Alakazam, but ended up just being Surf, Growlithe, another Surf, and ended up Sheer Colding the Blastoise, so that was fun. Skipping right ahead to Sabrina, it was more 4 up, 4 down. There was a part where we got confused by the Venomoth, but in all reality, there was no true concern. Just Aurora Beamed it away and then double Surf the Alakazam again. As you can imagine, based on the previous gyms, the Surf spam is the way to go. Giovanni and his ground types, not any different. 5 up, 5 down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Now that we beat Giovanni, we're moving straight on to Rival 6, right down the street, where we picked up our first rival fight in this entire game. Ice super effective against Flying for the rival. We have Water super effective against the Rhyhorn. Ice also takes out Execute. We end up learning Ice Beam mid-fight. Water takes out the Growlithe. Alakazam potentially becomes an issue in this situation because his special defense is actually pretty high, special attack is very high, but ultimately falls to Dugong. In the end, Dragonite's going to have to come in and pick up the final kill on Blastoise, and after we've made our way through Victory Road, this will set us up for the final 5 battles, the Elite Four. Now, as you can see, coming down the stretch, we have 2 appropriately leveled Pokemon in Dugong and Dragonite, which in all reality is what we were expecting and exactly what we were planning for. The goal is going to be to try to run through the Elite Four with just these 2 Pokemon and complete it. Switching out when necessary if confusion pops up or if yawn happens on the Slowbro or something of the sort. Surf, huge plus. 95 base power, special attack, stab, 100% accuracy. The other move that we're going to want to use and put on him is Ice Beam. That's for later. As we jump into the Elite Four, breaking down the movesets is probably going to be the best idea. What we decided to teach Dragonite is Dragon Claw, Wing Attack, Shockwave, and Surf. Dragon Claw is going to be helpful obviously for Lance, Dragon types, and anything else miscellaneous if required. Wing Attack, Stab physical type. His best base stat is Attack, so that should be extremely valuable, especially for Bruno. Shockwave, hopefully we can withstand some hits from Lorelei's ice types where we can effectively utilize Shockwave. And Surf is going to be useful for Onyx's or just anything else miscellaneous if we're looking for some type of special move, maybe even Arcanine towards the end or a Rhydon.
Dugong's moveset is Surf, Ice Beam, Rest, and Sheer Cold. Surf is just that good all-around stab special move. Dugong's bulk makes Rest really good against Lorelei. Ice Beam can obviously be used for people like Lance, where it's going to be quad effective to Dragonite and Aerodactyl if necessary. And then Sheer Cold is for any of those outliers. So I'm thinking Lapras might be, as well as maybe like Blastoise. I don't know. Somebody on the champs team could cause a problem, could cause a stir
That might be grounds to whip out sheer cold. You gotta see. So after our first few attempts of getting our waxed, I realized that Dragonite's probably just going to have to be a higher level to get through the Lorelei fight, so we can start seeing the back end of the Elite Four and what we need to plan for if anything unexpected pops up. We kind of have a strategy down now. We want to use wing attacks mostly as they're just dealing the most damage, and they take Dugong and Slowbro down to about a half, so we can 2-shot the Dugong and then typically 3-shot minus full restore on the Slowbro, which helps immensely so that Dugong can bulk out and take care of the rest, as long as our sheer cold gambit hits.
Switch in, switch out, switch in, switch out. Yeah, this Jinx is just so annoying with all the attracts that I'm trying to dodge. Why are my Pokemon boys?
Plus a lovely Kiss sleeping. I end up just staying in after a while and deciding to just tank all of her shots as she only uses Ice Punch. Not until after I end up switching all the other Pokemon I caught for this challenge though. Fucking Donkey, Dragonfly, Duck, and Deer. I killed them all. Ultimately, we end up winning this Lorelei fight so we can start making it to Bruno. Bruno. Up, down, up, down, up, down. It's so easy. Surf, Dragonite, wing attack, wing attack, wing attack, surf, and then you move on every single time. Bruno? Yeah. You're right. Who even named Bruno an Elite Four member? You got 2 Onyxes? What a joke, buddy. What a joke. Jumping right into Agatha's guts. The accepted tactic here is going to be wing attacks on the first Gengar so we can get him down to low, to a little bit below half, but it looks like it's going to be pretty low, so it's going to full restore. And then we advance. I ended up using wing attack on the Golbat, and it ended up not killing immediately. Maybe I should have used Shockwave, but I think either way it would have taken 2 shots. But ultimately, Sludge Bomb was a little too much from second Gengar. Resetting to start Lorelei one more time. Hopefully this is going to be the final time. Dragonite stays in quite a long time, takes out 3 of the Pokemon, Dugong, Slowbro, and Jinx, and ends up dying to Lapras, which is as expected. I end up switching out here to try and break the confusion via Confuse Ray and Sheer Cold to just kill the Lapras. Then there's Cloyster, the PP staller, constantly using Protect. PP, you're making my PP small, more ways than one. God damn, I'm fucking funny. Comedic genius. Surfs take out the balance of the Cloyster, and we move on. Bruno, I think we all know what's going to happen here with Dragonite. Just see another repeat. Something that is happening here is that Dragonite is picking up the majority of the XP, and since he's the main player on the team and is encountering the most Pokemon, so people like Bruno are a great XP sink for our Dragonite. Back to Agatha, this bitch. Dragonite quickly was switched out because he was confused, and we bring in Dugong to see how much work he can do. Tanks a bunch of it, kills 3 out of 5, and then we switch in Dragonite at once Dugong dies to finish off the last Gengar with Wing Attack to Citrus Berry, finish off with Wing Attack, and then Haunter is just a one-shot because Haunter is too frail. We get to Lance this time, which is pretty nice because now we can use Dragonite for our Dragon Claw attack and see how much that does, and if Dugong's Ice Beam is actually going to be able to take them out. Shockwave to Gyarados. Doesn't kill, unfortunately. Just keep Shockwave until it's over. Hit us with a little 40 bomb from the Dragon Rage. Dragon Claw takes out the balance of the Dragon types. Got the 2-shot Dragonite, but ultimately not too bad. Surfs take out Aerodactyl. No issues whatsoever. Dugong actually doesn't even have to come in, which is great, but we did have him in the back if necessary. Now we get to go fight the champion. We get Feather Dance by Pidgeot, which was not the best thing, but it still works out to kill up to Alakazam in this case. Alakazam is physically frail, so it's not an issue. Executor puts us to sleep immediately, and we encounter 2 sleep turns. After motherfucking Coconut Head starts firing egg bombs right into us, he ends up killing off Dragonite because I thought I was going to get the sleep turns. Then we switch to Dugong, and ends up not going very well because Giga Drain is giga effective. Didn't expect that to happen. Ultimately, we lose on the champion, and we have to reset. Thinking back, I don't really think there's anything else that we really could have done in that situation. I think it's just time to try again, and hopefully these extra few levels that we got from the last attempt are going to help push us through. After killing Dugong, Dragonite levels up to level 6-7, and he was frozen, and he dies immediately. Alright, looks like this one's going to have to be another run because we're probably not going to make it through with Dragonite dying like that. Ultimately, Dugong is able to tank the majority of this, tanks flipping back and forth between the moves. After Dragonite died relatively early, we end up running out of Sheer Colds, and they all miss. So we have to just die at this point. There's not really any other way to effectively kill Lapras in this situation. Just gotta kind of reset and hope for the best here. Although the big Gong is taking those ice punches like it's nothing. Ooh, eating them up. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter. So I am just gonna cut ahead to the next run, but the big Gong knows how to take some punches. Dragonite kills Dugong after getting hit with an Ice Beam. Dragonite dies to Slowbro, which was kind of a bummer. Ending, and we get yawned, put straight to sleep, but Slowbro really doesn't have an effective way to kill us. So the thought process is, after he uses a few amnesias, we're probably going to have to Sheer Cold. Sheer Colds begin to miss, we begin to fail. The writing's on the wall, which means this attempt is also going to fail. The Lorelei luck is extremely important. Lorelei is kind of a lottery in this case, because you never know what the Dugong's going to do. In this case, it uses Safeguard, but in other cases, it's used Ice Beam right off the bat. It's used Hail. It's maybe Lapras doesn't get the Sheer Cold. Maybe Slowbro hits Amnesias, which makes all of our Surfs and Ice Beams completely ineffective. Unless we crit, but it's such a low chance to crit. Oh, look at this. They withdrew Cloyster to put in Lapras. And from the top rope with the Sheer Cold, we take Lapras out one shot. Oh, baby. Yeah, guys, sorry about that. Had to whip my Gong out for a quick sec. Gotta pack it back in after that clutch up. Ooh. So it's definitely a lottery. But if we can make it past, we're very consistent on Bruno, even from 8 levels ago. Agatha could potentially be another struggle, but with the levels we have, it should be relatively consistent. I'm going to try Dragon Claw on the first Gengar this time, do a little bit less in this case to not get the full restore. But if I used Wing Attack, it would have just went down, they would have full restored, and then you would have used 2 more Wing Attacks. So not a problem whatsoever. Dugong came in this time, trying kill off the Golbat and the Arbok, and ultimately Agatha ends up working in this case. Lance is going to be the same strategy as last time. Lance, again, pretty much a non-factor for us. Kind of a little boy in this case because we have a Dragonite, and luckily the Dragonite has a Citrus Berry, which helps immensely because then he doesn't use the full restores. For the Lance fight, like we already said, it's going to be a Shockwave. Still can't believe it doesn't one-shot Gyarados after all this time. One-shot Dragon Claw, both Dragonairs, 2-shot Dragonite, and then clean them up with Surf on Aerodactyl. After so many more attempts and so many more tries, we finally make it back to the champion, and hopefully we can shoot down the champion Snorkel this time. Shockwave, pretty straightforward. Shockwave is perfect to have because of the Sand Attack that Pidgeot uses. We end up not getting any misses, and Executor doesn't survive anymore from the Wing Attacks. So that puts us in a position where we can't get hit by the Sleep Powders, and everybody else just goes right down to Dragonite. Ultimately, really fun challenge. I was glad I got to use the Dragonite line from beginning to end, and I would probably rank this, I don't know, you got to take into account the extremely brutal beginning, and not everything is based on in-game time or recording time. I would say B tier. We didn't have too many options, but the options we did have were fun to use, minus the beginning with Dratini. Dragonair is also just bad. I'd probably put it B tier, probably low B tier. And now that we established that D is in the B tier, let's check the graph. So looking at the badge differential between the different letters so far, D is above B very consistently, and then has the same jump between badge 8 and the Elite 4 as C, or a very similar one at least. So pretty interesting that it's been so consistent. I mean, the Dratini in the beginning was just so bad. That's really what bumped this time up, as you can see. That starting and collecting badge 1 at over 200 minutes is brutal. Alright guys, well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next letter. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so you can follow all the different letters and see where the tier list ends up. Zeej signing off. See you.